There's a brown bottle sitting in your medicine cabinet right now that costs about $1. And it does the same job as at least 11 products the auto parts store wants $40, $50, even $60 combined for. I'm talking about hydrogen peroxide. Yeah, the stuff you poured on a skinned knee as a kid, the stuff that's been sitting untouched in your bathroom since your last cut healed. Once you see what it actually does to your car, you're going to feel a little robbed every time you walk past the premium detailing aisle at AutoZone or O'Reilly's. Here's the thing nobody at the parts counter is going to tell you. A huge chunk of what they sell you, battery terminal cleaner, headlight restoration kits, odor eliminators, upholstery stain removers, even some automotive-grade disinfectants, is all built around the same active ingredient: hydrogen peroxide. They just repackage it, mark it up, and slap automotive formula on the label, and it feels like it's doing something special that a dollar bottle from Walgreens can't. It's not. Stick with me through all 11, because number 1 on this list is the one that actually made me angry when I ran the math on how much people overpay for it every single year. Hydrogen peroxide is what chemists call a mild oxidizer. That's the whole trick behind everything on this list. When it touches organic gunk, rust, mold, or bacteria, it breaks the molecular bonds holding that mess together, and it fizzes it apart on contact. That fizzing you see isn't just for show. That's oxygen actively tearing apart whatever it's sitting on. Hospitals have used it to clean wounds and disinfect surfaces for over a century. Food processing plants use it to sanitize equipment. The chemistry isn't new, and it isn't a secret in any real sense. It's just inconvenient for an industry that makes its margins selling you 11 different single-purpose bottles instead of one 3% bottle that does the job of all of them. So why doesn't everybody already know this? Because there's no incentive for the guy behind the parts counter to point you toward the pharmacy aisle instead of his own shelf. His margin depends on you not making that connection. And to be clear, I'm not telling you hydrogen peroxide replaces every cleaning product you own. It won't strip grease off an engine block, and it's not a substitute for real motor oil or coolant. What it does replace is the entire shelf of specialty surface cleaners marketed specifically at car owners who don't know they're paying 6 times over for the same bottle. Let's go through all 11, from worst to best, and by the end, you'll understand exactly what you've been overpaying for. Number 11. Streak-free glass. No blue window cleaner needed. Spray it straight, undiluted, on your windshield or side mirrors, wipe with a microfiber towel, and you're done. No ammonia smell, no streaky film baking into a haze under direct sun. If your car does that thing where regular glass cleaner leaves a hazy film that only shows up when the afternoon sun hits it just right, you already know exactly what I mean, and this fixes it without the chemical smell riding with you for the next 10 miles. Number 10. Killing that musty vent smell. That damp gym sock smell blasting out of your air conditioning the second you start the car? That's mold and bacteria colonizing your evaporator core and vents, and no pine tree air freshener is going to fix the actual source. A diluted hydrogen peroxide mix, 1 part peroxide to 1 part water in a spray bottle, misted into the cabin air intake, and left to sit, breaks that smell down at the molecular level instead of just masking it for a day and a half. Number 9. Mold in the trunk and door seals. Same principle, bigger problem, and one that gets worse every rainy season. Spare tire wells, trunk carpet, rubber door and window seals. Anywhere moisture collects and never fully dries, mold moves in and doesn't leave on its own. It's not just a smell issue either. For anyone in the car with allergies or asthma, that mold is actively working against them every time the vents kick on. Spray the same diluted solution, let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes, scrub gently with a soft brush, and wipe clean. It's the same active ingredient in the automotive mold and mildew remover spray that runs $15 to $20 at the parts store. You're just buying it under a different name with a car on the label. Number 8. Blood, sweat, and whatever else is on your seats. And here's the part your detailer never volunteers. Hydrogen peroxide is one of the single best things on the planet for lifting blood and protein-based stains, full stop. Mix 1 part peroxide to 2 parts water, spray the stain, let it fizz for a minute, then blot with a microfiber towel. It's the same chemistry hospitals have relied on for scrubs and linens for decades, and it works just as well on cloth seats as it does on cotton. Number 7. General carpet and floor mat stains. For the coffee spill, the fast food sauce packet that exploded under the seat, and the mystery stain you've been driving over for 6 months without dealing with, mix equal parts peroxide and water, agitate with a stiff brush, and blot dry. For the stubborn ones, stir 1 cup of baking soda into 2 cups of peroxide to make a paste. Work it into the fibers and let it sit 30 minutes before rinsing. Quick word of caution here, because this is exactly where people mess it up. Always test an inconspicuous spot first. Full-strength peroxide can lighten dark fabric if you let it sit too long. Dilute it, do not over-soak it, and do not walk away and forget about it for an hour. Number 6. Brightening light-colored cloth seats. If you've got tan or gray cloth seats that have gone dingy and gray-brown over the years, the kind that make a 10-year-old Camry look like it's been through a war, the same 1 to 2 dilution used for stains works as an overall refresh across the whole seat. Spray it down, agitate with a detailing brush, let it sit for 10 minutes, then blot dry with a clean microfiber towel. It's the closest thing to a factory-fresh reset you're getting for the price of a bottle from the pharmacy instead of a $100 professional shampoo job. Number 5. Battery terminal corrosion, the one that started all this. Stay with me, because this is where it gets expensive for people who don't watch closely. That white or greenish crust building up on your battery terminals is lead sulfate or copper sulfate, and it's one of the top reasons a battery that's perfectly fine electrically still won't crank your truck on a cold morning. Disconnect the negative terminal first, then the positive, always in that order, for safety. Apply hydrogen peroxide directly with an old toothbrush and let it fizz and bubble for a couple of minutes. That fizzing you're watching is literally the corrosion breaking apart molecule by molecule. Rinse with water, dry completely, and reconnect. A can of name-brand battery terminal cleaner runs $12 to $18 at the auto parts store for a few ounces of active ingredient. This does the identical job for pennies out of a bottle that costs $1. Same fizzing reaction, different target. Rusted chrome bumper trim, a rusted wrench sitting in the garage, a rusted lug nut that won't break loose. Pour it directly on, let it bubble for a few minutes, scrub with a brush, then rinse and dry thoroughly. It won't outperform a dedicated rust converter on a heavily pitted frame rail or rocker panel. I'm not going to oversell it there, but for surface rust on small parts and trim, it's shockingly effective for $1 a bottle. Number 3. Foggy, yellowed headlights. This is the one that gets the most attention because it's visible on every Ford F-150 and Toyota Camry over 8 years old sitting in your driveway right now. UV exposure oxidizes the plastic lens and turns it that hazy yellow that makes your headlights look weak at night even when the bulbs behind them are perfectly fine. A hydrogen peroxide soak, applied and reapplied across a few passes with a cloth, cuts through that oxidation layer. It takes more elbow grease and more patience than a $45 to $50 headlight restoration kit off the shelf. I won't pretend it's instant, but it gets you most of the way there for the cost of what's already sitting in your bathroom cabinet. Number 2. Disinfecting everything you actually touch. Steering wheel, door handles, seatbelt buckle, shifter knob. These are the surfaces nobody thinks about, and they are the dirtiest parts of your entire vehicle by a wide margin. Dirtier than your floor mats, dirtier than your cup holders. A diluted peroxide wipe down disinfects those high touch points without the harsh chemical smell of a full interior sanitizing detail package a shop will try to upsell you for $30 to $50 on top of your regular service. Number 1. The dilution ratio they hope you never learn. And here's number 1, the actual industry secret this whole video's been building toward. Almost everything on this list comes down to one simple ratio. 1 part hydrogen peroxide to 1 or 2 parts water mixed in a spray bottle from the same 3% solution you already own. That's it. That's the proprietary automotive formula. That's the professional-grade detailing solution printed in bold letters on 6 different labels. The parts store didn't invent a new chemical. They took a $1 bottle, split its job across half a dozen different products, and charged you full retail price for each one separately, one purchase at a time. One more thing before we wrap up, because I'd rather you do this right than fast. Always work in a ventilated space. Wear gloves if you've got sensitive skin. Never mix hydrogen peroxide with bleach, ammonia, or vinegar. And always test a hidden spot on fabric or trim before going all in on a full surface. It's gentle compared to most cleaners on the market, but it's still an active chemical. And full-strength solutions left sitting too long can bleach colored fabric or trim. Let's run the actual math. because this is the part people screenshot and send to their group chat. A 3% bottle of hydrogen peroxide runs about $1 at any drugstore. Now line that up against buying the official version of everything on this list separately. Battery terminal cleaner runs $12 to $18. A headlight restoration kit runs $45 to $50. An odor eliminator spray runs $10 to $15. An upholstery stain remover runs $8 to $12. Glass cleaner runs $5 to $8. And a professional interior sanitizing package tacked onto a detail runs $30 to $50 on top of everything else. Add it up, and you're somewhere between $100 and $150 in retail products. One bottle replaces almost all of it. Do that once a year for the life of your car, and you're looking at hundreds of dollars staying in your pocket instead of leaving it at the parts counter one small purchase at a time. Comment below. What's the one car cleaning product you just found out you'd been massively overpaying for this whole time? I read every single one. And if this saved you a trip to the parts store, you're going to want to see the video I've got queued up next, because the same trick applies to at least 4 more specialty products sitting on that same shelf. And one of them might be costing you more than your last oil change.